You don't play a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here like you might do right now. You need to be able to look down and see your whole fretboard right out in front of you so you can start making some musical choices. The less of those choices that you have, of course, the more limited you're going to be. So as we go through this course, you need to respond with me and let me know what kind of things you're working through, and any questions you might have. You can email me, of course. So we're going to be breaking down your fretboard. We're going to be breaking down theory. We're going to be breaking down your right hand, your left hand, synchronization, all of these different kinds of things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing, bending, vibrato, hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides, and we're going to be talking more about those next week as well because I want to make sure we get this all in. But this is a huge issue for a lot of students where they learn kind of how to do bends or vibrato, but they don't have a real confident attacking technique. You know, those are two of the things, like if I go out and watch a guitar player play, bending and vibrato are two of the most important things that I hear people do. If you don't really know how to do a bend very well or a vibrato, you have a tendency of making your guitar kind of sound like it's a dying cat, you know. We're talking to space aliens or something like that. So you got to be really careful. So the point of a bend is that you're bending from something pentatonically to something pentatonically. And the three main bends I'm going to have you work on this week, they're all whole step bends, or 2-fret bends. You're going to bend from the 7th fret of the first position, which is your ring finger. It's going to bend up to the 9th fret. That's the first one we're going to do. So let's put our ring finger on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. Put your middle finger on the 6th fret. Put your first finger on the 5th fret. We're using those other 2 fingers to help stabilize our movements. Okay, so here we are grabbing on, and what we're doing is putting our thumb over the top. Usually when we play scales, we have a tendency of playing with our wrist in a bit of a downward position, so it's easier for us to reach things. For this bend, we're going to do what's called a blues stance or blues grab, where we're taking our thumb over the top, and that way, with the thumb over the top, we can act like we're opening a doorknob. We can turn like we're opening a doorknob like this. See that? See? So what you're doing is you're turning it and you're pushing it up in the air. Okay? And you want to push it up till it sounds like a whole step higher. So instead of playing the 7, it should sound like 9. So you're going to bend until you hear the sound of that 9th fret. You want to learn to have complete control of turning that wrist. So the strength isn't coming from your fingers. The strength is coming from your wrist. It's coming from your forearm. Even your bicep, okay, just like turning a doorknob. You're not doing this. You're turning till you get the distance that you want. So it takes a little while because you got to kind of grip the string, and then you're almost kind of like digging under the string and pushing it forward up in the air. You're going to do the same thing on the 2nd string. And you're going to do the same thing on the 1st string. And all 3 of those are going to be going up whole steps or 2 frets. So we're bending from 7 to 9. We're bending from 8 of the 2nd string to 10, and 8 of the 1st string to 10. Why 7s and 8s? Because they're pentatonic notes. We're bending right from this 7th fret of the pentatonic scale, and right from this 8th fret, and right from this 8th fret. Now, many times I'll have somebody say, well, why aren't you bending with your pinky then if your pinky's supposed to be on 8? You can bend with your pinky. But a lot of times we learn how to bend with our 3rd finger simply because then we have our pinky available to do other things. You know, like you do a lot of, those are called harmony bends, or there's all kinds of different things we can call those, but those are other bends that we'll be getting into. But let's just start with that idea. So we're using our 3rd finger for everything. So if I was to bend on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, this guy's on 7, this guy's on 6. Again, neither one of these make any musical sense as far as the scale goes, but they're just there for support. I'm not playing those notes, so I'm bending this 8 up, and when I come back down to do something, see, I have to get back to that 5. So you want to learn how to really control the bends. It's absolutely crucial that you learn how to do your bends. Okay, so right now, just whole step bends. That's all we're dealing with is whole step bends, which is 2-fret bends. We're doing the 3 most common bends that you'll hear in rock and roll and blues, which is the 7th fret, the 8th fret, and the 8th fret. 7th fret of the 3rd string, 7th fret or 8th fret of the 2nd string, 8th fret of the 1st string. The 1st string is by far the hardest one to bend, even though it's the thinnest string. There's the most tension on that string, so you really got to crank that thing. If you find that it's just impossible to do bends, it is possible that your strings are too heavy, and you might have to reconsider getting a little bit lighter set of strings on there, at least until you learn how to do this. Okay?